The scores are pretty even across the board, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to accept that score. Who would like to make a comment about this image for the photographer if they're listening? Michael?
Yeah, look, I liked it. I thought the atmosphere was very, very strong. The shapes within the frame are really conducive to continue to look around the frame, which works really well. It's the atmosphere that gives it the good score.
Okay, well done. Okay, once again, the scoring's pretty strong across four of you out of five. You're pretty close to each other. Let's have a think about 8. It's not going to go any higher than that. Okay, I'll probably accept that score, but would love to hear from you, Shah. You've certainly supported it.
What's the final score?
So it's 8.2.
Okay.
8.02, actually. That's the same thing as 8.2. Yep, 8.2. So Shah, you were 8.5. You supported the image. How about have a little chat for the photographer?
It's been very well presented to us and very well seen. It's something a little bit different, and I really applaud the photographer for taking a different perspective, getting up high and shooting down low onto this image. I like the fact that the numbers are reversed. It gives it a really interesting dynamic, and the fact that they're standing there looking at their cell phones makes you wonder what they're actually looking when around them is such a plethora of intricacy. So congratulations, well done.
Yeah, thank you for that. And the photographer should be proud. Any score over 8 is a very good score. So well done to them, and we will accept that score. Okay, once again, a pretty strong score, nearly 8.2. I think we might have a little bit of a discussion about this one. It's a pretty dynamic image, and I think we'd start that discussion with Rachel.
Okay, so do I say what I've scored this, or do I just talk?
Yeah, you're welcome to.
Okay. So I gave it 8.8. I think that it's got a very it's a very dramatic image. The perspective gives a really good sense of scale to the buildings that are shown, but also a feeling of the viewer being quite small in relation to that because of that beautiful big opening. I think the black and white conversion works really well to highlight the architectural elements, and for a phone image and a phone edit, I think it's yeah, a really strong image.
Well done, Rach. Thank you for that. Chris, can you have a comment, please?
Yeah, well, I've revisited this on the initial cull. I think I would have given this maybe 5 or 6. So I was probably a touch cynical about it being more of a sort of work of the architect who's created this. Photographer has seen it well, I admit that. And it's a nice capture, so I've rescored it. I think I've given it 8.2 now. So when I revisit it, is very beautiful. A little bit of noise in there, which puts me off a little bit. A bit of digital noise in and around that lit up area in the middle. But it's a striking little print image. So yeah.
Let's remember they were taking on a phone too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure still to what extent we're taking that into consideration, but
well, you take it in.
I have considered that,
yeah. Take it into consideration because that's the unique thing about this particular category. So it's not on a 52 megapixel Canon, whatever, you know. So we had an initial score of 8.18. Do you want to rescore it? I think I'd like to have a little crack at rescoring this and just see what what you might think, having had a look at it a little bit longer. Rescore, please. Okay, that's a good resulting score, I think. 8.5, so well done to the photographer there. And while we're changing, we'll accept that score. And while we're changing the images, I'd just like to reintroduce the category again for everyone out there. All these images are photographed on a phone. They're edited by a phone. So they're to be considered in that regard. And there's some amazing things that we have on offer here. So next image, Judge, score that, please. Water spider. So all the scores are through, and I remember judging this image myself, and I particularly liked it as well. And I can see that most of you also like it. The scoring's pretty even across the board. However, I still would like to talk about this one as well. And the biggest supporter of it was Chris. What was your score, Chris, and what do you think?
I scored at 9.2.
Mm.
Totally blew me away that this was shot with a phone, quite frankly. The title, I don't know, I'm not a fan of titles, and probably my fellow judges are going to agree with me there. A little bit corny sometimes, titles, but I think within the PSNZ, everyone needs to put titles on them because that's the kind of reference number, I suppose, in a way, their title. So I appreciate the title with this. It is fitting. It's quite clever. But just the capture, obviously, very fast shutter speed to capture this movement of water. So highly effective, not particularly a complicated image, but an incredible capture. So that's why I've scored it so well.
Okay, and Shah, what have you got to say?
I agree with Chris there. It's a very original and interesting perspective. I just felt for me the crop was a little bit tight, just to get that full effect of the spider, particularly on the left-hand side there. Some of the droplets of water are missing, and I felt that if it had a little bit more space and a little bit more room to breathe, it would have come up in the scoring range for me. But yeah, incredible capture and well seen.
Rachel, I'd like to hear from you as well.
I really like this image. I scored it in the very high eights. I think I gave it an 8.9. I think that the angle that the photographer has chosen to take this on has worked really, really well to give us the feeling of that it actually being like a spider on a wall rather than just choosing to shoot it straight on. The clarity and sharpness of the water droplets make it seem like it is, rather than just something very well timed, something that is abstractly constructed to be something else. And I think that doing that on the phone is very, very clever. Black and white conversion works well to take away any additional distractions and sort of give it that otherworldly feel. And yeah, I think it's a really, really successful image.
Okay, thanks for that chat, guys. We'll rescore, and hopefully the photographers enjoyed the contribution there. Excellent. It's now taken up to an 8.7, which is a wonderful score, and we'll accept that. And next image, please. The next image is a wonderful color image titled Pipe Dreams. Okay, once again, we've ended up with the initial score of 8.3. Scoring's pretty even across the board there. Who hasn't had a chat? Lynn, what do you think about this image?
I thought the colour palette was very pleasing. I was concerned about a white splotch in the lower left corner, so I marked it down. It's easy to correct those things in software on a phone. It didn't have any real emotional impact for me, so that's where I've left it.
Okay, on the other scale is Rachel, you supported it well. What are your thoughts?
I thought it was really beautifully constructed abstract image. I scored at 8.7. I think it sits well in the high eights. It's got a nice ambient feel to it. It's the sort of piece that would sit quite happily on a wall. And I think the thing for me, I would have scored it higher without the border. Because I do tend to find that it's drawing my eyes to the edges rather than to the textures and the shapes within the image and the palette. So I would have scored it higher without that. But otherwise, it's a very pleasing image.
Thank you very much. Let's rescore, judges. Okay, it's remained on the same score. We'll accept that and move on. Next image, please. And we have an image titled Urban Reflections. Okay, we have some pretty even scoring across the board there. I think the panel is pretty much in agreement. Shah, would you like to mention anything in support of the image?
Sure. There's a lot to take in here. It's been very well constructed. I like the interesting split between the warm colours and the slightly cooler to the left. They've obviously taken quite some time to piece this together. The more you sit with it, the more you can see. So I can thank the photographer for providing an image that obviously taken on a phone and to give us a really cool urban urban image that, you know, would look great in a commercial setting, like in a like framed in a cafe, in a business, or, you know, even just in above a fireplace. It's quite an I think it's got quite an enduring quality, which I think is awesome.
Thank you, Shah. Thanks for that. I'm sure the photographer will be happy to hear all that. We'll accept that score. And next print, please. And we have got an intriguing image here, Ocean Lens. Okay, we have some pretty strong scoring, and I'd like to actually have you guys talk about this image. We've got 3 really strong supporters and 1 not as much, so we'll start at the top. Lynn, can we have a contribution from you regarding this image, please?
Yes, I was very impressed with this for a cell phone image. I'm not quite sure how they managed to do that. I like the fact that it's balanced with a little bit of rock on the lower right and the cliffs on the left, and it keeps bringing you back to the central part. It seems quite sharp for a cell phone image as well. So I was quite impressed with this, and yeah.
Thank you. Rachel?
I didn't score this one as highly. I feel like this image is more about the post-processing technique that's used, or the editing app, than it is about structure and composition. The highlights in the top of the globe really draw my attention away from the drama of the sea and the rocks. And I did find that either through capture or processing, the faces of the cliffs are sort of soft and muddy. So I didn't enjoy this one as much.
Okay, well, we've got some strong supporters here, and I'm going to go through you all actually, because that is an intriguing image. Michael?
Yeah, look, I gave this 8.6. It would probably help in terms of understanding where everyone's score is, to actually hear what people have scored.
Yep.
Because at the moment, you put on a score and you think, is that high or is that low? Or, you know, I sort of feel outside of the understanding of where we're going with this. But
Okay, we'll help you with that moving forward.
Yeah, I found this image more technically orientated than emotionally orientated. I found it very technique, and as a result, it didn't require me going higher, because it was just an image that was well done, and I sort of lost it about that point.
8.6 is a good strong score, so that's good. Okay, and
Do you want me to say what my score was?
Rachel, you can.
Yeah, I scored at 7.1.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And Shah, you've scored at 8.8. You're the strongest supporter. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, I think, you know, as what has already been said, it's, you know, it's a phone capture, and they have processed this in a really interesting way and presented it in an interesting way. I agree with Rachel. There's just a wee bit of distortion around the cliffs and things, and also the horizon through the globe is not straight. The highlights, and also I actually find the rocks on the right just a little bit more distracting. I think I would have scored it higher had it been a little bit more drama, like there's warmth lighting in the center there that could have been saturated a bit more to create a little bit more drama, a bit more balance in that center section. But yeah, definitely giving me Neil Dawson vibes.
Yep, so you scored 8.8, so that's a great support. So we'll rescore that one, judges. Okay, it's actually dropped down a little bit. How did it do that? Oh, yep. Okay, fair enough. All right, we ended up with a score of 8.22, so that's a fine score, and we'll accept that and move on. Next image is titled Last of Autumn. So this image has garnered some, it's come out, the initial score is 8.52. It's garnered some strong support amongst you, so I think we are going to have a chat about this one. And to lead the charge, Michael.
Yeah, I gave this 9.1. I totally love this. I think the excitement of seeing something this sophisticated in an iPhone capture is pretty incredible. So it's the colors, it's the shapes, it's the whole conversation of the foreground and background. It's leaping forward out of this frame. I just find it quite vibrant and exciting.
Cool. And Lynn, what do you think?
I agree with Mike. It's a multiple exposure, very well handled. I love the layering in it and the color palette. So I scored it 8.8, I think.
Thank you, Lynn. And Chris?
Yeah, this is just a gorgeous, funky little art image. I love the contrast between the cold colors in the background and the popping of the warmth and the red of those leaves. So this is a gorgeous image in my opinion. And I think I only scored a 8.9, but this is the only one I had given gold or more than 9 when I initially viewed it. Love it.
So you
Beautiful.
scored at 8.6 this time, Chris. So,
I might have gone down slightly. Yeah.
well, perhaps you can reconsider that when we move into the rescoring phase. We're happy with those comments. It's already scored a nice score of 8.5, but we can rescore that and see what we come up with. Okay, that's great. That's moved up to an 8.74. I think that's a worthy score, and we'll accept that. Thanks for the contribution.